Greetings, my fellow eagles and the entire world. This is Eagle Emmanuel Mensah with inspirations and guidance from Eagle Helen Mensah in the unseen world, coming into your homes and your minds with a message of empowerment and enlightenment. Today is the 11th of September in the year 2024, and the Bible says this is the day the Lord has made. And for that matter, we should rejoice and be glad in it. And so I take this opportunity to invite the whole world to join me to give thanks to God for the day that He has granted unto us. And life in general, life is beautiful, life is wonderful, life is glorious. Life is God Himself, flowing through all things, including mankind. Today, I'm going to speak to you on the topic, God is a circle whose center is everywhere and circumference nowhere. I repeat, God is like a circle whose center is everywhere, but His circumference is nowhere. This topic is actually a quote from one of the French Enlightenment writers called Voltaire. Voltaire was a philosopher, Enlightenment writer, and he penned down these beautiful and wonderful words about God. He also went on to say that those who have the power to cause you to believe in absurdity also have the power to cause you or to make you cause or commit cruelty. That is a fact. Those who have power to convince you to believe in absurdity also have the power to cause you to commit or to engage in atrocities. It's a fact. And so today we are looking at the personality of God. And as a matter of fact, I will once again invoke the words of the same man, Voltaire. And he also said that it is very dangerous to speak against the established traditions or beliefs that has already been accepted by the establishment or is established. And so I see myself walking in the path of Voltaire. And some of us, we are doing the work that, or we are continuing the work that they started to bring enlightenment, to bring transformation into our lives, our society. And so whatever I'll be saying, particularly those of our people in the religious circles, will find it difficult to accept. Most will kick against it. Most will even condemn it. But as a matter of fact, that is a fact. It is normally convenient and it is normally easy to accept what you already know, and therefore we don't want to venture into other areas of ourselves. Now, God, we are told by theology that God is omnipresent, God is omnipotent, and therefore He is everywhere. And God is the source of everything. We are all the children and the children of God. But at the same time, God is love, and He is the unity of all things. But as a matter of fact, if we are to be objective and think independently of any group that we belong to religiously, you will come to the realization that there is nothing in this world that divides human beings more than the name and the personality of God. It's a fact. So I am appealing to you to listen to me with an open mind. I do not disagree with the existence of God. But at the same time, the concept and the personality that we hold about God is questionable, particularly the established religious belief that we hold. And so God is someone that is loving and caring. But at the same time, God's name and his personality, who he is, and how to approach him has been the number one factor that has divided human beings. First, if you look at these divisions, we have those who have come even to the point that they say there is no God, that there is nothing as God. And then we have those who believe in God. This division amongst human beings is not caused by anything, by the understanding of the personality and the nature of God. And due to the confusion that surrounds this power, force that we call God, most people have even taken to the point that that presence, that force does not exist. And then if you come even into those of us that believe that there is God, God is in existence. Within the religious circle, the religious bubble, the circle, no one understands, or there are different types of groups, opinion, and concepts about this very same God. And so we have Christianity, we have Islam, we have Buddhism, we have Taoism. All these groups are claiming to be the acceptable way of approaching God. And they have the right definition and the concept of God. And so the thing that human being is supposed to bind us together, human beings have taken it and we've used it to separate ourselves. So we live in silos. If you are not a Christian, that means you are a sinner. You don't belong to the children of God. You are going to be destroyed at the end of the day. And so Christians see themselves as the only children of God. So God, who is the unity, God, who is the source, who is the father of everything, has now become a God who has taken only a fraction of his children and left the others out. And then if you go into Islam, if you don't belong to Islam, then you are infidel. You are this, you are that. And so God, whom we say is compassionate, benevolent, and encompassing all these things, has now taken a stand that those who do not comport, those who do not accept this view, even don't have the right to exist. And so we see what is happening in the world. We see what is happening everywhere. So if you go through the world, everywhere, anywhere that you will go, the divisions, the confusion that is happening all boils down to human beings' understanding or lack of understanding of the nature and the personality of God. Our political systems, our social systems are being formed and built upon our religious beliefs. And so now, even if you can see, even in Europe, we have the nationalists who believe their nations have to be of a Christian nations. If you go to America, and even the recent political campaigns that we're having, one group believes that America has to be a Christian nation, and therefore they are doing everything. And therefore, whatever the leader of one particular party has done is of no relevance, because he has promised to turn that nation to that. And so you see that a beautiful thing that was built, that was created as a symbol of the unity of God. Men and women are using the name of God and they are tearing it apart. So, if God is the all-embracing, all-compassing, everything, then why is it that the name of God has become the most divisive factor amongst human beings? Is it God who is a confused God? Or is it human beings whose understanding of God is flawed? It's flawed. And the last point is the truth. Human beings' understanding of that we call God is built on a flawed premise. God is not a human being. As a matter of fact, what we call God is the embodiment or is the aggregate of everything in the universe put together. That is the force that manifested all things. And therefore, the life you have, and the life the animals have, the life the trees have, are not different. We are all just accessing the same life. Therefore, we are from the same source. And therefore, what we call God is energy or spirit that is moving all the time and passing through physical things. And so, if you were to sit down and think critically and think independently, you come to the point that God is not what we have been told that He is. But God is in you. You are a God, individualized into your personality. It is God that has individualized Himself into you. And your brother, your sister, whoever you find anywhere, whatever you see, everything in this world is the manifestation, is the presence of God in manifestation. And therefore, God is everywhere. And that is why Voltaire, put forward that statement that God is like a circle whose center is everywhere, but has no circumference, or his circumference has no limit or is nowhere. God is in everything. God is everywhere. God is passing through everything. Without the presence or the energy of God, nothing can happen. And so, when you stand up and say that someone is a lost person, and therefore God is not in the person, then you are making a mistake. And that is where our confusion comes from. Because you have formed a concept of a God, you want everyone to accept it. And those who doesn't accept it, they don't have the right to also hold their concept. And so this confusion rages on. We don't agree with each other. If you take one religious group, let's take Christianity, I know. There are divisions and divisions, deep divisions amongst the Christian family. Those who believe that others are not doing the right thing, others are sinners, others are this and that and that. And so you will see that the whole body of the group of people that we are the children of God, we demonstrate confusion and division more than any other thing. If you go into any of the religious groups, so God will not promote confusion. God will not promote violence against another human being. God will not promote anything bad against other human beings. And so this is the time that you have to come to the realization. You have to think. Begin to question yourself. Begin to ponder over some of these things. You will never gain knowledge. You will never gain understanding. You will never gain wisdom from reading books and all those things. But you will gain wisdom and understanding by pondering over things. Look at yourself and look at all other human beings. They are not different from you, and you are not different from them. And therefore, whatever you hold as your religion is of no relevance. It doesn't define us as humanity. We are all together. No human beings have a different way of operating. We all operate in the same way. In the same way, if you look at all other things, all our societies, we are all one. And we are the manifestation, the expression of this presence, the powerful force that is moving, evolving into higher things. You see? And so what you hold, or the concept you hold about God, needs to be evaluated. And if you were to find God in anywhere, you will not, that should be within yourself, for God is within you. And so, since God is within you, you are supposed to see all human beings as your fellow gods and treat them equally. And that is why Jesus Christ said, love your neighbor as yourself. Love is the first law. And love, unconditional love, does not seek or does not ask for conditions to be satisfied before the person is loved. And so God is the overruling presence. God is not a human being. God is not an entity that you can touch and feel. But God is consciousness. And it is this consciousness that has turned itself into all things, including human beings. And human beings, we are evolving into higher level and higher level. And so, what you hold that God is, and therefore, your perception of God is the only true one, It's a flawed premises. If we are to hold that, then God ceases to be omnipotent. Then God ceases to be the loving Father, the unconditional Father. That is a fact. If the concept that Christians hold, that they are the only children of God, then God has ceased to be a compassionate and a loving Father, unconditional Father. So it is with Muslims, so it is with Buddhism, so it is with all other religions, you see. And so God is greater and bigger than what you think about. God is more powerful and extendable than what you think. We are all the expression of the energy, the essence, the presence that we call God. And therefore, we are all in the same body. We are all in the same circle. And that circle has no circumference. It has only center. And so wherever you find yourself, God is there. God must exist in everything for that thing to exist. God must be present in things that before those things can be in existence. And so when you look at your brother, your sister, when you look at anything and you classify it as a lost thing, that means you are defining God as a lost thing. If you condemn your brother, that means you are condemning your fellow God. If you do anything negative to any man or woman, anything around you, that means you are doing it to God. For everything is the manifestation, is the expression, the self-expression of God. And so there are tons of things that you can actually generate from the works of Voltaire. And as a matter of fact, I encourage you to sit down and ponder over these words. God is like a circle whose center is everywhere, but the circumference is nowhere. The God has no circumference. And the meaning of this verse is that God has no limitation. There is no limitation to what God is. And God is everywhere. God is everything. God is in everyone. That is a fact. And so you're supposed to wake up. You're supposed to begin to think about things. Begin to question the concepts and the perceptions that you hold. And if you do this carefully, if you do this purposefully, you come to the realization that you are a God on earth here, and so it is your brother or sister. And therefore, what you will not want your brother or sister to do to you, do not do the same thing to your brother or sister. And that is the law that Jesus Christ gave, that love your neighbor as yourself. That is the first law. And that means that God is in everyone. God is everywhere. God is the one that is animating everything. And once you bring love, you love someone, you are loving yourself. If you love another thing, you are loving yourself. Because we are all from the same body. We are all from the same source. And so as I started, what I'm saying, I have only little time to do this exposition, but most of you, especially my fellow Christians and other religious people, you'll find it difficult to accept Voltaire's perspective. But for me, I believe, and that is the truth, those of us that have come to this level, that God is bigger and powerful and more generous and beautiful than the concept of God that we hold. God is all that there is. And therefore, even if we are to think of what we talk of the heaven and earth concept in Christianity, and even in most religions, if there should be existence of hell, then God must be there for hell to exist. Because nothing can occur, nothing can exist without the presence of God. God is in everything. And since God is in everything, if God creates a place called hell, then he must be there to sustain it. And that means God is going to burn himself. You see? So think about this carefully. And if you think about this carefully, you discover the truth. The established truth, things that have been sold to us, things that have been given to us, were formed based on the concept, understanding of the people of the old. But humanity, we have expanded, we have evolved. And therefore, if we keep on looking at these things in the mind and the eyes of the older people, without also we allowing ourselves for this energy to flow through us, for us to also to receive, then we may be doing what is not in agreement with who we are. And so I leave you with this powerful statement once again. I remind you, please think about it carefully. God is like a circle whose center is everywhere, but the circumference nowhere. The meaning is that God is in everything. God is in everyone. And therefore, if you look at your brother, your sister, wherever you be, whatever you are seeing, whatever, you are in the presence of God. And that is what the psalmist says, where can I go to hide away from your presence? If I go down under the belly of the ocean, you are there. If I go even into the outer space, you are there. If I dig the ground and bury myself, you are there. It doesn't matter where you will find yourself. God will be there. And that means what you are standing on, the things that surround you are the manifestation of God. And that is why God is everywhere. And that is why God is considered as God omnipresent. That is my message for you. Now may the overshadowing presence of God that keeps the stars in the open such that they do not fall on us, and keeps the planets in their orbit such that they do not clash with one another, lead and guide you, direct you, open your mind such that you become awakened to the truth, and you begin to look at God from the right perspective. You begin to hold the right concept of God. God has no limitation, and God has no favorite. God does not have a group of people that he called his children, and some he called sinners or whatever, that they are not his children. We are all the manifestation of the presence of God. What we become is what we tell. We feed this presence and it becomes for us. Thank you, and God bless you.